What is up, everybody? Episode number 48 of the Big Five Pod coming to you right now. I'm your co-host, Kyle Morello. Next to me, sipping his Broncos mug, Russell Wilson at the finals game tonight that we're recording Thursday. Jake Copestick, how we doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Coming down from Memorial Day weekend. It's very nice. I was in Seattle. I didn't get any sunburn. The weather was beautiful, despite what most of the weather people said. It was sunny. It was beautiful all weekend, so I had a great time. Nice and relaxing weekend to kick off the summer. Speaking of Russell Wilson, can I just throw this out there to you?
Sure.
So last year, the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. This year, the Nuggets could win the NBA championship. So, who's next? Is it Broncos? Is it the Rockies? Which it's probably not the Rockies, or is it the Colorado Rapids? Correct.
It is the Rapids, yes,
That's
but
the MLS team.
they are
Good.
in 14th or 15th in the Western Conference. It's them and the Galaxy at the bottom. So,
All right.
yeah.
Just okay. So it seems like the Broncos could be the
The
next team.
Broncos theoretically are up next, but we'll see what Mr. Unlimited can cook up here. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want any part of nicknames, any of that shit. I just want them to play
Hey,
football.
I gave him
No
to himself.
commercials. No doing. Especially I'm convinced people that advertise Subway don't actually eat there. The food sucks.
No, you can't.
There's no way
The only
people
good
eat
thing
there.
about Subway, I will say, is their cookies. Their
Yeah,
cookies are phenomenal.
I'll give you that. That's
You got the chocolate chip ones, obviously. You got like those strawberry cheesecake ones or something like that. Uh, very, very good. But the food is very mid. You get it if you need it on the side of the road, at a rest stop somewhere. We have been victim of that. Remember when we were driving from Vegas to Colorado the first time, 2021, and the gas station that we stopped at, all they had was what? A Subway. So what did we get?
Yeah, I was in
Subway.
middle of nowhere, Arizona. There
Yeah.
was a sign that just said land and a phone
Land.
number. That's how much
Yeah.
we were in the middle of nowhere. But at
I
the
I
same
will say
time,
though,
good.
I was gonna talk about the Gatorade that they had there. They had
Oh,
those throwback caps. I'm not gonna say what we call them, but those throwback caps.
the sippy cup
Yeah,
ones.
sippy
Well,
cups.
I'm
Sorry,
just
what were
saying,
you gonna
like
say?
you don't you don't need Subway. I waited it out because I said you're crazy for getting a Subway in the middle of the desert in Arizona. You're crazy for that.
I
You
mean, it
don't need
worked.
it. Get a
It
couple
worked.
snacks. Get like I don't know, some Oreos. Um, what I'm not really like a huge snack guy. Get some candy
Yeah,
to hold you
I
over,
get
fill
it.
your stomach. You don't need the Subway that bad, man. You don't. You
It's
don't.
okay. We got in and out after another mid food selection, but it worked. It worked better than Subway.
Way better than the Subway. Yeah.
So we're gonna get into some off-season stuff here after we finish up our Subway talk here. One thing I did want to bring up before we get into it. Can you tell me what this is?
That's a broom.
And what do brooms do?
They sweep.
They
They clean
sweep
up.
because the New York Mets are sweeping. Oh, there's Siri. Sorry, Siri. I don't need you. The Mets are sweeping the Philadelphia Phillies. 4-2 final today. Max Scherzer dominant after the first inning. Mark Canha, second straight game with a home run. Um, Listen, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. First meeting of the season. It was a sweep. The Mets have now won 17 of their last 21 games against the Philadelphia Phillies. Complete and utter dominance. Any thoughts, real quick, before we get started?
Ah, so I can't deny that because I mean, look, they made the World Series last year. The
They
100
did.
win Mets, they didn't. They went out like losers in the wild card game.
They did.
Uh, but here's what I will say: it's June. The June swoon's coming. The Mets downfall, it's here. It's here. It's here. It's here. The June swoon is here. The month of June is here. It's coming. They got the Blue Jays coming to town. The June swoon is coming for the Mets. They're going to start dropping games. So,
We'll see.
sorry. Besides, hey, this time last year, kind of similar situation for the Phils. It's not over just yet.
It's true. It's true. You never know what can happen. Baseball is a long season for a reason.
Right.
All right. The reason why we could talk about all these things very casually before the episode is that there's really not a ton this week. Obviously one major news, which we're gonna go over right now, but not a ton this week. But we're gonna get into the biggest news of the week. Tyler Burton, formerly of Richmond, is heading to Villanova on the main line and joining the Wildcats for his last year of eligibility. Cope, this is a massive, and I mean massive, get for the Wildcats. Can't even say any of us were really expecting him to be in the portal. He came in really late, I think. And now all of a sudden, Villanova has himself a wing who averaged 19 points a game last season, 7 rebounds, 1.5 steals. Shot a little under 30%, not exactly what you would want, but he's not going to need to carry the weight like that at Villanova. Was entered in the NBA draft the last 2 years, withdrew both times. Attended the G League elite camp this year. Was not one of the 8 players selected to attend the combine from that camp, but he's dominated Big Five teams. He played Temple in November, 8 of 13, 6 rebounds in that one. Richmond won 61-49. Played La Salle this year, obviously. 16 points, 10 rebounds in that one. And then St. Joe's, 10 points in that one, so not maybe as good, but he's got familiarity with Big Five. And now he comes to a Villanova team that I think a lot of people are agreeing with me. I saw Jeff Goodman had them in the top 20. I think they're a top 20 team, not even just top 25, a top 20 team. So, Cope, I'll let you say your piece on this. What do you think about Tyler Burton coming to the Wildcats?
Yeah, so I love him as a player. I absolutely love his game. I talked about him glowingly a couple times this year when he played the Big Five teams. He actually wasn't great, but it wasn't great when he come to Philly. LaSalle, he was not very good. He actually did not make a three-pointer in both games where he came to Philly against LaSalle and St. Joe's. Over 6 against LaSalle, over 5 against St. Joe's. Not exactly great shooting that LaSalle game either. Um, look, it is what it is. You have off nights, but he's still a damn good player. He's a damn good scorer. He can shoot the three. That sub 30% is not indicative of how good of a shooter he is. He's much better than that. Shot over 36% on just over 4 attempts, average his sophomore and his junior year. So just a rough year last year. Had to take a lot of threes. Offense is very reliant on him because you think the year before they had Grant Golden, they had Nathan Ko, they had Jacob Billiard, they had that team that ran the table in the A10 tournament and then upset Keegan Murray's Iowa team. All those guys leave. They were much younger. He had to carry a brunt of this offense for Chris Mooney and Richmond. And I think the numbers, his scoring went up because he had to, but he had to shoot a lot more threes, had the ball in his hands a lot more. But he's a big time player. He's the NBA potential with the you bring up he's been to the draft. He entered, put his name in, was at G League Elite Camp this year. Unfortunately, didn't do well at G League Elite Camp, which is why he pulled his name out. Was in the portal. Pretty much, I'm sure a lot of people reached out to him, but put on Villanova for bringing him in. Another versatile forward who can rebound well, who can defend well, who's going to fit right in with their kind of positionless system. Like you can play TJ Bamba, Hakeem Hart, and Tyler Burton in there at the same time, which I think now that at Tyler Burton's here, that's probably what the starting lineup's going to be. You're going to move Lance Ware to the bench and play kind of positionless 2 through 4, and and especially you put Dustin Moore in there too. It kind of is a little odd, I guess. They don't have a true point guard, and they'll have Mark Armstrong calling off the bench, but they're not going to start a true point guard. But still, it's a damn good lineup. It's top 20. Look at all the experience you have. 2 fifth years in Justin Moore and Eric Dixon, and 2 more fifth years in Hakeem Hart and Tyler Burton, who Hakeem Hart and TJ Bamba pulled their name out of the draft today, and they'll play at Villanova next year. So a ton of experience. They hit the portal hard, completely different from what you think of Jay Wright's teams. He brought in Joe Cremo, brought in Eric Pascal. He's not a guy that brings in a lot of transfers. Caleb Daniels as well. But college basketball is changing. You got to get up with the times. Villanova did in a big way. I can tell you they won't be 500 next year. They won't be playing in the NIT next year unless something goes terribly wrong. They restocked. They got a damn good scorer, a shooter, a great vertical athlete who can rip and get by guys and dunk on you. Awesome pickup. I love this guy's game. He's moving up in competition. The Big East is going to be damn good next year. Might even be better than the Big 12. I think you could have maybe made that argument this year with how good, UConn win and how good the conference was. But a damn good pickup. This is as good as a pickup as you can make right now. This late in the offseason, as good as a pickup as you can get. They get themselves a starter who can score, who can defend, fits exactly how they're going to play. So I really like Tyler Burton's game. He's going to fit in very well at Villanova. And he fills in their last scholarship spot. Their roster's set for next year. That's probably the best use of like a last scholarship that anybody's ever had, because to get a 5th year in there too, got plenty of experience playing. He's going to produce right away on a very good Nova team, and he just raised their ceiling higher than it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, their floor was definitely higher than last year, I think, just because, the injury to Justin Moore gave a lot of unknowns. Obviously, Cam Whitmore started the year hurt. So there was, and you're bringing in a freshman class too that's inexperienced, obviously. So their floor was lower. Their ceiling was pretty high because he had a lottery pick and, Justin Moore coming back. So they landed somewhere in the middle there. I think the floor is higher and the ceiling is exponentially higher. I mean, you saw what UConn did when they brought in all their transfers this year. And I mean, obviously they had guys too, and you bring in Klingon, who was a freshman last year, and those pieces kind of all fit together, and then they became the team that they were. And I'm not saying they're going to be anywhere close to that, but that's like you were saying, kind of the formula now. You got to get guys in. You got to use some of your own guys that you have, and this team is all of that plus the experience you mentioned with 4 5th years. I mean, that's definitely something notable. Guys who've played in the NCAA tournament, it's huge, and I think they definitely start the year ranked. Um, and it's just they're a lot deeper team this year too. I mean, you talk about the only person you really lose was Cam Whitmore and the graduates, obviously, but you bring in Hakeem Hart, you bring in Tyler Burton, you bring in Lance Ware, you bring in TJ Bamba. Like these are all guys who are going to contribute. Plus, you have the guys on the bench. Another year of Mark Armstrong, another year of Hausen. This is a really really good Villanova team. This will be the best team in the Big Five this year. Though St. Joe's will be good. I don't want to discount them, but this is going to be a good year for Villanova. I'm very 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 excited, looking forward to it. And if no one else, I think this will be the team that breaks the drought of the last year that we had on Big Five teams making the NCAA tournament. So that is that. All right, moving on. We haven't talked about La Salle a ton this offseason, really. I don't know we've mentioned that a lot, but there's something really interesting that they did today, and I definitely think that we need to discuss this. The La Salle alumni created an NIL collective, which is huge. It's called Explorers United. It will, quote, allow businesses, donors, and other constituents to support and engage with their favorite LaSalle sport programs or student athletes, or contribute to a general fund that supports student athletes across several sports. It's independent from the university, though, so they won't receive any financial benefits from Explorers United. But kind of like with Villanova, the NCAA allows them to run the collective and help pay people to go to their school. So this is really, really good, especially because LaSalle's been struggling to get recruits, I feel like, a lot, in the last, decade, maybe more than that. You can tell me if I'm wrong or right, but what do you make of this? Because this is definitely something that's really important in the direction that the NCAA is going in, specifically in college basketball.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And like I said in our last segment about talking about Villanova getting transfers, moving with the times of college basketball, this is LaSalle doing the same exact things on the NIL side. We saw St. Joe's do it. So you're seeing more mid-major schools do this as well to get opportunities to get the players paid. And that's, hey, you just got to move with the times. Like you got to put yourself at a competitive advantage if you can, and at least be able to compete with other schools in some way. So look, it's not this can't be pay for play. There has to be some service here. You do an appearance, do some kind of social media campaign, you go volunteer somewhere. So there has to be, a service. I don't know who necessarily like checks that and what like the governance is over that, because I feel like there's schools that definitely just pay guys without them doing anything.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, it's over at NIL and they do it. And then also it can't be used as a, in quotes, recruiting inducement for a student athlete to enroll or continue to attend LaSalle University. Well, I'm pretty sure that's what NIL is like being used for. You know what I mean? Like they have to put these out there, but there's not many rules around NIL right now. So because of that, like they have to put stuff out here. They're going to educate the players, the staff, alumni, so that they're in compliance, I'm sure. But this is going on. You know pay for play is going on. This is exactly what this is. If you want a guy to enroll at your school, you want a guy from the portal to come to your school, they're asking you how much money you have and how much you're willing to give them. That's just where we are right now. So I like that LaSalle's doing this. They're moving up. I'm sure they have a lot of alumni that, support their basketball team, were big fans of it while they were in school, when they had success. So I'm sure that there is certainly a market here with their alumni that want to see their basketball team and their sports programs do well. I'm glad that they're doing this. They're moving with the times. Hopefully, they can get a new arena soon. And then, hey, if you have a really nice arena, the team starts to do well under Dunphy. They start to improve upon what they did last year, and you have an NIL collective to incentivize these guys with some money to come there. Maybe we can see La Salle on the rise a little bit. This is just taking one step in that direction.
And a great step at that. I mean, you mentioned Villanova and St. Joe's, and now LaSalle joining them and getting an NIL collective. It's huge. As we both said, getting with the times. Um, it's listen, they could say it's not pay for play. It's pay for play. Even if they have to do an appearance or if they, sign with a sponsor or something like you've seen, like this isn't basketball, but the Coldest Crawford from LSU, he like signed with a AC like cooling company down there in Baton Rouge and like was doing appearances for them. Or was it Nebraska? I forget. I think it was Nebraska. He
Nebraska.
transferred. He transferred to Nebraska. Um, but like it's stuff like that. Um, we all know what's going on. Like you said, it's the reality of college sports. It's been happening in football and basketball long before we were born. Um, so it's nothing new, but it's now being regulated, and it's a good thing that Sal's jumping on board and getting with the times because they will need it to keep the program competitive. So good on them. All right, Cope, I'm really excited to talk about this. I know you are too. So we're gonna get into this. This is not actually college basketball talk that we're doing right now, but it has to do with the Big Five. The basketball tournament, which I'm sure you all know what that is, but if you don't, it is a tournament that runs every summer. I forget exactly who it's organized by. I think it's just organized by like the basketball tournament. I think that's what the official companies call it or whatever. Um, I believe is it 64 teams?
Yeah, 64. Just
64
like a March
teams.
Madness bracket with no play-ins.
Yep, yep. So there's a whole bunch of teams that join, and a lot of college alumni will go on their own teams and play in these games. So there are two teams that are relevant to Philly. The first one is Big Five TBT. Obviously, we're big fans of that. So I believe last year was their first year. They were defeated by Expats, which is the Patriot League alumni. The game was at Rucker Park in New York, was delayed due to rain by 4.5 hours. It was resumed indoors. Big Five won 74-66, and they lost in the round of 32 to Americana for Autism by a score of 83-67. That team was coached by Khalif Wyatt, and that team will be coached this year by Khalif Wyatt, which just announced today on Thursday. And the team consists of these players: former LaSalle center Matt Lopez, former Boston University and Creighton guard Maurice Watson Jr., former Indiana LaSalle and Providence center Clifton Moore, former Temple forward Sage Tolbert III, and then returning players will be former Minnesota and Rider forward Ahmad Gilbert, Penn guard Devon Goodman. He was part of the last Penn team to make the tournament in 2018. Villanova and SMU forward Marcus Kennedy, St. Joseph's forward CJ Aiken, who was the 2011-2012 A10 Defensive Player of the Year, and LaSalle guard Roman Galloway, who's also part of that Sweet 16 team. A lot of names here from Big Five. Not a ton that we've talked about recently. I mean, Sage Tolbert III was recent. Clifton Moore is recent. Some of those guys maybe a little bit further back. But what do you make of them rejoining this tournament and going for the $1 million prize that they have at the end of each tournament?
Yeah, so I think the most important detail here is when we talk about, especially this year, the championship game, the semifinals, the Final Four, and the championship game are going to be played at Daskalakis Athletic Center on Drexel's campus. It's going to be in Philadelphia for the first time.
That's right.
So I know they played at Jefferson one time. They had a regional there. But hey, pretty cool that's going to be in Philadelphia this year. There's going to be two teams, one of which, of course, is this Big Five team representing every school. Yeah, some old, some new. Clifton Moore and Sage Tolbert just got done their college careers. With Clifton Moore, they played in the tournament. He had his hands full with Oscar Tshiebwe, which isn't easy for anybody.
Did he ever?
But some good returners still. Yeah, Devin Goodman, that last Penn team that made the tournament. When I think of Marcus Kennedy, so he played for Larry Brown at SMU, and whenever I think of that, like one of his last teams, they discarded Nick Moore, who transferred to Illinois State, who was really good, but they lost to Steve Alford's and Bryce Alford's UCLA team on a goaltended three ball.
I do
It's like I
remember
haven't
that.
seen any. Yeah, you remember that the
I
tournament
do
was a
remember that.
6-11 game,
Yep.
and
I picked
Marcus
SMU
Kennedy
that year.
wasn't the guy who goaltended it, but he like hedged out to try and block Bryce Alford's shot, and he's to throw up this wild shot over two guys, and it looked like it was going to be an air ball, and I think it just grazed the rim, but Yannick Morera got his hand on it when it was still in the cylinder, technically, and they lost the game. CJ Aiken, big time defender at St. Joe's, guy blocked a ton of shots when he was there. And he actually played at PW, Plymouth Whitemarsh. So local guy to the area, and of course a Big Five guy. And then how could you forget Ramon Galloway? That team makes a Sweet 16 after being in the play-in. And crazy to think, Kyle, it's been 10 years since that. I don't know where the time goes, but that team was 10 years ago. So a lot of these guys are playing overseas. I heard Fran Fraschilla say this last year on one of the broadcasts for TBT. Like, these guys aren't scrubs by any means. 80% of the guys that play in this are overseas getting paid, or former NBA guys that like just got done. Like these guys are still legit, really, really good competition. These guys will do it just as a Big Five alumni team. They lost to Americana for autism. You have teams that do that, like there's Sideline Cancer, that do it for a good cause. So I think it's a really good tournament. It's kind of a lull in the summer where there's really just baseball on, and it's nice to watch a little bit of basketball. They play for $1 million. The ALUM ending is awesome, with every game having to end on a made basket. So yeah, good luck to these guys. How about Temple and Norristown's very own Khalif Wyatt, making the move, I guess, from player to coach. I believe he coaches it. He coaches somewhere in the city or coaches Norristown High School right now. So he's doing that. But yeah, cool to see these guys still stick around, some of which are playing overseas. And then some new guys in Clifton Moore and Sage Tolbert with them. They don't have Ryan Daly this year because he's coaching at Albany. And who else played on that team last year? Names are escaping me, but that was that whole thing that happened last year because our buddy Sam Combs was covering the tournament.
Yep.
It was at Rucker Park. Never seen anything like it. Probably never will again. It rained. They brought a freaking tarp out on the court, and these guys had to go finish a game indoors like 5-6 hours later. So, no, the thing is, it was an awesome concept. Like them playing at Rucker Park, it's more of like a pickup atmosphere, not really too formal. Like, it was an awesome concept. It's just like, hey, you're outdoors, you take that risk. But yeah, good luck to these guys. Cool to see a bunch of guys that just got done playing. Some haven't played college in a while, but are still playing overseas. And how could a pod like ours, called the Big Five pod, not root for Big Five and TBT? So if you haven't watched it, it's awesome. I think it's a really good competition. And yeah, good luck to these guys. Hopefully they can bring it home and they can play in Philly.
Hopefully that'd be awesome. Yeah, I mean it's really accessible too. It's on ESPN. So if you're bored in July and early August and you want to watch this, I definitely recommend the championship and the semifinal at the DAC is on August 2nd for the semifinal, August 3rd for the final. So that'll be fun. And it's the 10th anniversary too with TBT. So that's really interesting. Now, not only is the Big Five TBT going to be team, but former Temple alumni crew is trying to apply to be a team in the TBT as well. So here's a list that is seemingly on this team. Though obviously the team's not official yet, but Shiz Austin Jr., Devondre Perry, Damian Moore, Ernest Flackby, Scooty Randall, JP Mormon, Quentin Rose, and Daniel Dingle. A lot of guys that within the last 3-4 years, if not sooner, just finished up playing. A lot of guys that we saw during our time at Temple as students. This would be really, really fun too. And it would give the Big Five TBT guys some competition, some more Philly love, a little run for the money there. So what do you make of this? Do you hope they get in? I mean, I know you hope they get in, but do you think they'll get in? Do you think anyone else could or should be added to this Broad Street Birds team? What do you think?
So usually these rosters aren't too big, but yeah, hey, I love the name Broad Street Birds. Pretty cool. I know La Salle had a 20th and only team, so they wouldn't be like the first Big Five team strictly from one school trying to make their own team. But yeah, it's definitely a good roster here. A lot of like you said, a lot of more recent guys. So like Devondre Perry finished up at Albany. He left, did his COVID year there. You had Ernest and Damian Moore that finished up a little bit before COVID. Obviously, Shiz, like his last year was when they unfortunately lost to
Yeah.
Belmont in the first round. At Q Rose, he was with were they still called they were the Westchester Knicks,
They're the
right?
Westchester Knicks.
They're
They're
still
still the
Westchester
Westchester
Knicks?
Knicks.
Yeah,
Yep.
so he was playing G League for a little bit, and then JP Mormon was at Riverside, I believe, or Santa Barbara. He was at one of them.
I
I can't
think it was
remember.
Santa Barbara. Remember he hit that crazy
Yeah,
shot
he hit that like
a
three
couple years
quarters,
ago.
like the purest buzzer beater you'll ever see. He just flicked it from like three quarters court and up
Believe it
to
was
the
Santa
net.
Barbara.
They upset Arizona State. It was one of them. It was Riverside or Santa Barbara. Regardless, he was living under the sun with some really good weather. But yeah, I wonder who would coach this team. I don't think I've seen a coach for these guys yet, but maybe they add another guy or two here. I don't know what their deal is with like guys that are current players, but I Nate Pierre Louis might put him over the top here and make him pretty
Yeah.
good as a guy who's playing in the G League right now. So yeah, they might add another name or two. They're not in just yet. If they are, we'll make sure we update you on that. But they let a bunch of teams in. Teams that want to run it back from the year before. If they do well, they'll let them back in. So I believe TBT said that like 28 of like the remaining 32 said they all wanted to run it back and are pretty much going to be the same teams. But yeah, it's a lot of college alumni here. So Blue Collar U from the Buffalo guys won it last year. Wichita State always has a team aftershock. So I think that this would definitely fit like a team full of college alumni from one school. Sometimes it's like even for Boeheim's Army, it'll be a bunch. It'll be like Devendorf and your Syracuse guys, but then like they have like Kiefer Sykes who played at like Green Bay. Like they'll just throw like there'll be a guy or two on there that like they
Yeah.
just know and isn't actually like from the school, but straight down the line, all Temple guys. I think they definitely should let him in. And then before we get off the subject of TBT, I want to give a shout out to my former intern supervisor, I guess I can call him that, Albert Veracalo III. He runs the Du Bois Dream Basketball Club. They have a minor league team in the Premier Basketball League, which is a small minor league, with some teams in the Northeast. He runs camps, he runs AAU teams, he does it all. Guy's awesome. And he is running the Du Bois Dream TBT roster, who was in it 4 years ago. I believe they actually played at Jefferson against Boeheim's Army. The Du Bois Dream are back in this year. They just got Michael and Marcus Weathers, who used to play at SMU. So shout out to Albert. Du Bois Dream are back in. I feel like I have a little like small connection to like
Yeah,
three TBT
definitely.
teams, so it's pretty cool. So we hope the Broad Street Birds get in. Obviously, good luck to Big Five, but shout out to Du Bois Dream. I'll be rooting for you guys too.
Damn right. Damn right. I'll be rooting for him too. I know you enjoyed that internship very much. So yeah, shout out to Du Bois Dream. Good for you guys. All right. One more final note before we wrap up here. Speaking of Temple players, former Temple players, that is. Former Temple guard Jeremiah Williams was at Iowa State last year. Got hurt before the season starts, tore his Achilles. So missed the entire season. Entered the transfer portal because they had a litany of young guys, but mainly Lipsy over there at Iowa State. He is now transferring to Illinois, which is around where he's from, which is pretty cool. So this is a really, really good get for Illinois, and I think it's a really good situation for Jeremiah Williams on a team that didn't really have much guard play. And this is definitely someone who can play. Averaged 9.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, about 4.5 assists in his last full season, which was at Temple 2021-2022 season. What do you make of Jeremiah Williams going to the Big Ten? I know he was supposed to be in the Big 12. Obviously, didn't play last year, but regardless, this will be a step up for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Big Ten's gonna be very good. I mean, look at everybody that's coming back. You have Xavier Johnson coming back to Indiana. You have all the guys coming back to Michigan State. I think Michigan State is easily a top 5 preseason team next year that can potentially win it all with all the guards they have come back. Zach Edey's coming back. I think Penn State under Mike Rhodes is going to be pretty good. So this is a damn good conference he's going to. The problem is he jumped up from the AAC, did not play in the Big 12 last year, and he's just a victim of circumstance. Taman Lipsey comes in there as a freshman, has to start every game, and he filled in pretty admirably. Over 7 points, over 4 assists, 2.2 steals a game on a team that got a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. Not too shabby, if you ask me. So, and Damon Lipsey's from Ames, Iowa. He's from like the shadow of Iowa State's campus. So, not it doesn't seem like a guy that you're gonna unseat coming off of a year where you didn't play and having to get up to Big 12 speed. But they need guards. They need guards. Terrence Shannon's coming back, which is good, but they lost from last year. Jaden Epps is going to Georgetown. Remember a couple years ago they had Andre Curbelo. He left for St. John's last year, so he's not there. But they need guards there. They do. And Terrence Shannon isn't, he's like a guard forward. He's not a point guard. So he's actually going to fill a need for them. And on the market right now, I don't really know who else you can get. They got Justin Harmon to come in from Utah Valley, but they need guards. He's gonna have an opportunity to play. But he missed all last year. He hasn't played in a while, and the last time he played, he was playing in the AAC. So he's gonna have to get up to speed here, and they might actually need him to play like very good minutes because they need guards and they need him badly. This team was inconsistent last year. I look, I like Brad Underwood, but this team was just inconsistent. And look, how do you win in March? How do you win games deep in the season? You need
Guard
guards.
play.
Just something that they didn't have night in and night out. This team didn't have last year. So he's going to have the opportunity to play. They're going to need him. But I feel like you're kind of banking on a lot here because he's coming off a major knee injury, and he hasn't played in a while. And this will be the best level of basketball that he's played. They've also lost Sky Clark to Louisville, top 100 guy last year who stepped away midseason, came back, and then transferred. And they missed out on Ray J. Dennis, who decided to go down to Baylor. It seemed like they were linked to him all along here. He would have been an awesome get in the MAC with 1A, the Mid American Conference Player of the Year last year. So after they missed out on a couple targets, they were scrambling here. They landed on Jeremiah Williams, who isn't exactly a shooter, but good defender, can facilitate a little bit. We've got really nice size for a point guard. So good luck to him. Just want to see him play. You just want to see him play. After last year, like getting hurt when he could have been maybe the starting point guard in the tournament team, it's a shame. Hopefully he can play there. Hopefully this team's up there in contention in a really good conference to make the tournament again. But he's gonna have a shot. He's gonna have opportunity to get minutes for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially like even for Illinois too, from their perspective, like getting someone who has as much potential as Jeremiah Williams this late in the process. We talked about it with Villanova getting Tyler Burton this late in the process. It's kind of similar. I mean, you just don't really expect to get guys like this late. It's June 1st on the night that we are recording this. It's not exactly a prominent time for player movement, but it's definitely a good get for them, especially a team that needed a guard. And I definitely think he'll have a shot to prove himself worthy of playing in a major conference. And the other thing too is that coming off a torn Achilles is really, really hard. So maybe it'll be even more of an adjustment period, but I definitely think he'll have an opportunity to prove himself, both on the injury front and on the level of competition front. So good luck to Jeremiah this season. We are rooting for him, and we'll keep tabs throughout the year. That's pretty much all we got here on this little episode. Cope, any final thoughts before we get off?
Not really, no. I warned you. These type days were coming.
Yeah,
They were
dog
coming.
days.
Nova's roster's done. So, besides recruiting, and their schedule's almost done too. So besides maybe recruiting news, we're they're done. Their off season is pretty much done. So yeah, these days were coming. Nice to get some relaxation. I'm headed back to Seattle this weekend because I'm spoiled, I guess.
I'm jealous.
It's good.
I'm jealous.
It's good
I'll
to
get down there soon.
yeah. It's
Get
good
down
to
there
know
soon.
people with beach houses. That's not why they're my friends, but it's a perk. That's
Oh,
yeah.
easy.
I love all my friends at a beach house. I'm not just I don't just love you for the beach house, but it is nice. It is nice. So I'm headed back to Seattle this weekend. I can't wait. Sunscreen's already packed. I'm ready to roll.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I do wish I was down there this weekend too. I was invited, but got some responsibilities. Got a union game, home game against Montreal. Definitely looking forward to that one. Day before I got hired, lost 3-2 in Montreal at Olympic Stadium. And they're not a bad team, Montreal, but definitely a game that a match that the Union can win. So hopefully they pull out a victory on Saturday. I'll be there. If you want to listen, tune in to 97.5, The Fanatic, Dave Leno, Jonathan Yardley on the call, and yours truly producing. Very excited for that one. And parents and girlfriend haven't attended the first soccer game.
Very
They're coming to the
nice.
game. Yes, so I am very excited for that too. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you all for tuning in as always. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you guys follow us on social media at Big Five Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And make sure you listen to audio only versions on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And with that being said, we will see you guys for episode 49 next week. See you then.